The soft hum of my office filled the silence, that low, steady vibration that always reminded me how far I'd come. My desk was spotless, just the way I liked it. Laptop centered, planner open, a half-drunk cup of coffee cooling beside my favorite gold pen. Outside the glass walls, downtown Chicago glittered like a promise I'd finally learned to trust. I was reviewing quarterly projections when the door opened behind me. "Liv, got a minute?" My husband, Daniel, asked casually. He still called me Liv, like we were the same people we were 10 years ago. I smiled faintly. "Sure. What's up?" He stepped in, hands in his pockets, that easy charm he used to win investors, and sometimes me. "I was thinking," he began, pausing just enough to make me look up. "Your brother could be a real asset to the business. He's got time now, and it'd be great to keep it all in the family. You know, give him a role." My pen froze midair. A role. In my company. The one I built from nothing, brick by brick, night by night. I met his eyes slowly, searching for a hint of irony. "Daniel," I said carefully, "what kind of role?" He shrugged. "Just something small. He doesn't have to invest or anything. He's your brother." That word, brother, echoed like a bruise I hadn't touched in years. Funny how people remember your family only after you've built something worth taking. There was a time when I would have given anything just to hear my brothers say he believed in me. But that moment never came. Back then, I was 23, freshly out of college, living in a one-bedroom apartment that smelled faintly of burnt coffee and ambition. My laptop sat on a shaky dining table I called my office. I had an idea, an online design boutique, and a heart full of impossible dreams. When I first told my family, they laughed. "Olivia," my brother Jake had said, smirking, "people don't make real money selling pretty websites. You need a stable job." My father nodded in agreement. My mother looked worried. And Daniel, my then boyfriend, just sat there, silent. That silence cut deeper than the laughter. I remember excusing myself, locking the bathroom door, and staring at my reflection. My mascara was smudged from tears I refused to admit were there. The world outside the bathroom was loud with opinions, the kind that shrink your dreams until they fit someone else's comfort zone. That night, I packed my things, a duffel bag, my laptop, and a notebook filled with sketches of logos and color palettes. As I zipped the bag, my grandmother's old bracelet slipped from the drawer, a thin silver band with tiny etched stars. She used to tell me, "The world doesn't owe you belief, Olivia. You owe yourself the chance to try." I wore it that night like armor. I left home before dawn, the city still asleep, headlights cutting through the mist like small acts of faith. The first few months were brutal. My website crashed twice. Clients ghosted me. I lived on instant noodles and determination. But every time I wanted to quit, I'd twist that bracelet around my wrist and whisper, "They'll see. One day, they'll all see." I didn't know then that success would come, or that it would cost me parts of myself I hadn't realized were for sale. I just knew I couldn't go back. Not until I'd built something that couldn't be laughed at. If rock bottom had a sound, it would have been the clicking of my cheap keyboard at 2 a.m., steady, desperate, defiant. Those first 2 years were a blur of caffeine, missed birthdays, and unpaid bills. I worked freelance gigs to keep the lights on, designing brand kits for small shops and local cafes that paid in exposure. Exposure doesn't pay rent, but it kept my name out there. I learned everything the hard way, coding through YouTube tutorials, marketing from free webinars, accounting from late-night Google searches. Failure became my unofficial mentor. Every mistake carved a new layer of resilience I didn't know I had. Then came her. Vanessa Shaw, the CEO of a mid-sized design agency in New York. She'd seen one of my branding mock-ups online and messaged me directly. "Who did this? It's got heart." That message changed everything. Vanessa became the first person with real power who saw me for what I could do, not where I came from. She hired me remotely, gave me feedback that stung but shaped me. She taught me how to pitch, how to price, how to own my worth. And slowly, I started to believe I deserved to be in the room. By the third year, I registered my own company, Olivia Grant Studio, a one-woman design house that grew faster than I could have dreamed. I hired 2 part-time designers, then 5. We moved into a small rented space downtown. The first time I saw my name printed on the office door, I cried. Quietly. The kind of tears that felt like release, not sadness. My phone buzzed constantly, with client requests. I started turning down projects. People who'd once scrolled past my posts were now asking for collaborations. But through it all, I kept things quiet, especially around my family. When Jake texted asking how things were going, I'd reply, busy, but fine. When Mom asked if I needed help, I said, no, everything's simple right now. I never told them that simple meant 30 employees and a 6-figure contract. Daniel, by then my husband, was supportive, at least at first. But the more successful I became, the quieter he got. He'd make small comments about how I was too busy, how money changes people. I tried to laugh it off, thinking it was harmless. But deep down, I could feel the distance growing, that subtle male discomfort when a woman's power outpaces his ego. Still, I worked harder. My company expanded to 3 states. We landed a partnership with a global lifestyle brand. I bought our house, the one Daniel still liked to call ours, even though the mortgage was only in my name, asterisk. Through it all, I never stopped wearing that silver bracelet. It reminded me who I was before the office, before the nameplate, before the money. The girl who was laughed at was gone. But the woman replacing her was still learning how to own the space she'd built. When Daniel said he wanted to invite Jake over for dinner, I didn't think much of it. We hadn't all been in the same room in years, and part of me thought maybe, just maybe, time had softened old edges. But as I plated the last of the roasted chicken and set the table, something in Daniel's tone kept replaying in my mind. It'll be good for everyone. Maybe he can see where he might fit in. Fit in. The words clung to me like smoke. When Jake arrived, he looked the same, confident, casual, with that easy grin that used to make everyone in the room bend toward him. Liv, he said, pulling me into a half hug. Wow, look at this place. You really lucked out. Luck. Of course. Because hard work still sounded foreign to him when attached to my name. Dinner was pleasant enough at first. Stories, laughter that felt slightly rehearsed. But I could feel Daniel glancing at me, waiting for the right moment. Finally, he set his glass down and cleared his throat. So, Jake, Daniel began, Olivia and I were talking. We think you'd be a great addition to the company. She's been running it on her own for a while, but having family involved could really strengthen the brand. I looked up slowly. My fork clinked against the plate. Jake leaned back, pretending to be modest. I mean, I'd love to help out. Just tell me where you need me. I smiled. That calm, tight-lipped kind of smile that hides thunder behind it. Help out? Jake, you don't know a thing about what I do. He chuckled. Come on, Liv. It's not rocket science. I've got good ideas, and hey, family should stick together, right? Daniel nodded in agreement, oblivious to the storm brewing across the table. I sat back, crossing my legs, letting the silence stretch until the air felt heavy. Then I said quietly, you know what? You're right. Family should see where they fit in. I stood. Grab your coat. Both of you. I want to show you something. They exchanged puzzled glances, but followed me out. 10 minutes later, we were downtown, pulling up in front of my office, the glass tower that gleamed against the night sky. When the elevator doors opened, my name glowed in brushed silver letters across the wall. Olivia Grant Studio, Creative Agency and Brand Design. Jake's mouth opened slightly. Daniel blinked, as if seeing it for the first time. We walked through the open floor, a dozen designers working late, screens flickering with campaigns worth more than Jake's yearly salary. The scent of espresso, faint music, the hum of creation. My empire. Wait, Jake muttered, scanning the space. This is yours. I turned to him, voice calm, steady. Every inch, every client, every contract, every sleepless night. Mine. Daniel tried to recover. Babe, you never told me it was this big. I looked at him. You never asked. Silence settled again. Heavy, electric. I walked over to the large window overlooking the city, the same view I used to dream of from that tiny apartment. When I said I built this from scratch, I meant it. I said softly. Without loans, without help, without handouts. I turned to face them. Two men who once decided my dreams weren't serious enough. And now you both want in? Jake swallowed. I just thought. I know what you thought. I cut in. You thought it was easy. You thought it was luck. I smiled faintly, the kind that holds no bitterness, only truth. But luck didn't build this. I did. Jake was still staring at the glowing logo on the glass wall when I turned toward him. You know, I said quietly, I used to imagine this moment, the day my family would finally see what I built. I just didn't imagine it looking quite like this. Daniel shifted uncomfortably beside him. Liv, this isn't about taking anything from you. We just thought. I held up a hand. No, Daniel. You thought I'd say yes like I always did. You thought I'd shrink to make room. The words hung there, gentle but sharp enough to cut through the silence. I walked closer, my heels clicking softly on the polished floor. You both want in? I asked, voice steady.
Fine.
But this time, it's on my terms. Jake looked at me cautiously. Terms?
Yes.
Conditions. I folded my arms. Because walking into something you didn't build comes with a cost. I turned to Jake first. You want to work here? You'll start at the entry level, junior coordinator. 40 hours a week, no shortcuts, no title. You'll answer to my department leads, not me. And you'll earn your paycheck like everyone else. He blinked. Wait, what? Liv, I've got experience. Doing what? I asked softly. Talking about what other people should do? Or actually building something? He opened his mouth but found no words. Then I faced Daniel. My tone softened, not weak, just human. And you, Daniel, if you want to stay my partner, you need to start seeing me as one. Not someone you manage, not someone you guide, but someone who built something powerful without you. I don't need approval anymore. I need respect. He looked away, shame flickering across his face. I didn't mean to make you feel small, he murmured. I know, I said. But you did. Every time you called my success luck. Every time you made my dreams sound like a hobby. For a moment, none of us spoke. The hum of the computers filled the quiet, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat I'd learned to trust. Finally, I sighed. I'm not angry. Not anymore. But I'm done carrying people who wouldn't even hold the ladder for me when I was climbing. Jake lowered his gaze. Daniel's jaw tightened, his pride bending just slightly toward humility. I turned back toward the window, the city glowing beneath us. If you both want a place in my world, I said, then prove you deserve it. Earn it. The same way I did, one sleepless night, one risk, one act of faith at a time. They didn't argue. Maybe because deep down they knew I was right. Then I smiled, a small, forgiving one. I'm not shutting you out. I'm just reminding you that doors only open for those who knock, not those who expect to be carried through. The silence that followed wasn't heavy anymore. It was cleansing. For the first time in years, I felt light. The weeks that followed were quieter. Not empty, just different. Jake showed up at the office on Monday morning, right at 9, wearing a collared shirt that still had the price tag string hanging from the side. He didn't ask for special treatment. He sat where he was told, shadowed the project manager, and listened more than he spoke. I watched from my glass-walled office as he stumbled through his first few assignments, awkward, unsteady, but trying. For the first time in years, I saw him earn something. And for that, I respected him. Daniel was slower to change. Old habits die quietly. But one evening, I found him waiting for me in the kitchen, holding 2 cups of coffee. I've been reading about women-led businesses, he said. About how often they're underestimated. I didn't realize how much I was part of that. I didn't reply right away. Sometimes silence is the only answer people truly hear. Then I smiled softly. You do now. We sat there for a while, not as a husband and wife divided by pride, but as 2 people finally seeing each other clearly for the first time in years. The days grew easier. My company kept growing, but I stopped measuring success in profits or contracts. Now it was measured in peace. In the mornings when I'd wake up, make coffee, and look out at a skyline that no longer intimidated me. One Friday night, as I locked up the office, my bracelet caught the faint city light, the same silver one my grandmother had given me years ago. I traced my thumb over its etched stars, feeling the cool metal against my skin. The world doesn't owe you belief, Olivia. You owe yourself the chance to try. Her words echoed through the quiet. I smiled. Because I'd done more than try. I'd built, I'd fallen, I'd risen. And I'd learned that love, respect, and loyalty, like success, only hold meaning when they're earned. As I stepped out into the night, the wind caught my hair and the city shimmered below, loud, alive, mine. My story didn't end when I built my business. It began the day I stopped asking for permission to own it. Final voiceover line. I didn't build my business to prove them wrong. I built it to remember who I am. And that's something no one gets to share unless they've earned it.